We begin with some breaking news. Police saying an attacker has killed 5 people in a stabbing incident at a shopping mall in Sydney, Australia. Several others are critically injured. An armed police officer at the scene shot the suspected attacker dead. Authorities are now urging people to avoid the area. Police say they are not ruling out terrorism as a possible motive, and inquiries are ongoing in relation to the incident.
About 3:10 this afternoon, a male walked into Westfield at Bondi Junction. He left the centre very shortly after and returned about 3:20. As he moved through the centre, he engaged with about 9 people. It is clear that during that engagement he caused harm to those people, we believe, by stabbing them with a weapon he was carrying. Very clearly, a range of reports were made of the incident. Police attended promptly. A single unit officer, Inspector of Police, was nearby, attended, went into the centre, directed by a range of people. She confronted the offender, who had moved by this stage to level 5. As she continued to walk quickly behind him to catch up with him, he turned, faced her, raised a knife. She discharged a firearm, and that person is now deceased. I'm advised that there are 5 victims who are now deceased as a result of the actions of this offender. There are more than several other people who have been conveyed to hospital. A number of those are in serious and or critical conditions at this stage, and I do not have further information in relation to descriptions of those people. I know one of them is a small child. As is the case in these incidents, a critical incident has been declared, and investigations in relation to the matter have commenced and are continuing, both at the scene and a number of hospitals in the nearby area. From preliminary inquiries, it would appear that this person has acted alone. I am content that there is no continuing threat. Police, as I've said, have commenced investigations into the matter, which will continue through the evening. As I have said, I do not have details of victims who have been killed by this individual, nor those who have been conveyed to hospital for treatment. So I cannot provide you further information in relation to them, only to say that very clearly our hearts go out to all of them, as they do to anyone touched by this terrible incident this afternoon. I do not have information in relation to the offender. I do not know at this stage who he is. You would understand this is quite raw. Inquiries are very new, and we are continuing to make attempts to identify the offender in this matter.
So we just heard there from the New South Wales Police. Let's bring in journalist Roger Maynard, standing by for us in Sydney. Roger, thank you for taking this time. Can you tell us what is the latest that we know about this incident?
Yeah, well, this attack has left Australians shocked by the sheer severity, for which no motive has been established either. At least 6 people have died, including the attacker. Several more, including a 9-month-old baby, were seriously injured. Panic broke out shortly before 4 o'clock in the afternoon, local time, when the shopping centre at Bondi Junction is at its busiest. Eyewitnesses spoke of a man with a large knife randomly attacking members of the public, including a mother and child. They spoke of casualties lying bleeding on the floor and shoppers running for their lives. Local media here quoted a father who was with his 2 children at the time when he heard 2 gunshots. It was frightening, he said. It was harrowing. We were cowering in a store with hundreds of other people. Another eyewitness described the attacker as looking scattered and chaotic, brandishing a knife and chasing customers. So a really horrendous situation at the shopping mall, which is at its busiest on a Saturday afternoon.
So very little information about the victims there, and it does seem we do not yet have from police a motive from the suspected attacker. Is it clear whether he was acting alone?
Police have ruled out a second person in this drama. Certainly, it appears he was acting alone, and the police have confirmed that. They also spoke about the woman police officer who saw the attacker and ordered him to throw down his weapon. When he failed to do so, she reportedly shot him 3 or 4 times. Minutes earlier, the killer had been seen running up and down escalators, lashing out at people as he went. Many customers were in shock. They were separated from their friends or family and were waiting outside the shopping mall earlier today, hoping to be reunited as quickly as possible. We're really all awful afternoon. The full horror of this major incident and why it happened is yet to emerge, coming as it did on a sunny weekend as thousands of Sydneysiders went about their Saturday afternoon shopping.
So is it now safe to say that the situation has been brought under control? And do we have a sense of where things might go from here in terms of an investigation into this?
Well, the police have said there is no ongoing danger at the moment, that the situation, the drama, the threat is over. They've not raised the possibility of terrorism, although there have been suggestions that terrorism might be a motive, but there's certainly no confirmation of that at the moment. So it's still very much an ongoing investigation, and I suspect we'll have to wait some hours before we get a much clearer picture of what really went on.
And Australian Prime Minister Albanese has expressed shock at the rampage in Sydney, but he has also singled out that police officer on the scene for special praise.
Today, Bondi Junction was the scene of shocking violence, but it was also witness to the humanity and the heroism of our fellow Australians. The bravery of the police officer who she entered the proceedings that were taking place, obviously very dangerous, by herself. She is certainly a hero. There is no doubt that she saved lives through her action, and it is a reminder that those people who wear uniform are people who rush to danger, not away from it.
Was Prime Minister Albanese speaking there. And let's bring in now Richelle Harrison, a Plesse, a journalist following that story for us from Sydney. Let's start with what we know about the victims. What more can you tell us at this stage?
Well, not a lot for now. What we do know is that at least 6 people have been killed, 5 on the scene and 1 later in hospital as a result of that shocking stabbing spree at a Westfield shopping centre in Bondi Junction, which is a suburb about 5 kilometres to the east of downtown or the central business district, about 2 kilometres west of Sydney's famous Bondi Beach. At least 8 people were taken to hospital in a serious or critical condition, including a 9-month-old baby. Local media reports have eyewitnesses recounting the horrific scenes that they were confronted with as people fled the shopping centre, as people fled to safety, and in some cases as some bystanders helped those victims.
And we do want to hear from some of those eyewitnesses in just a moment. But first, Richelle, what can you tell us about the suspected attacker in this incident? Is it clear what motive there was behind this?
No, we did hear from the New South Wales Police. They gave a press conference a short time ago. They actually said that they had no information at this stage to give about the alleged offender, apart from that they are confident that they were acting alone. The authorities are still investigating to identify the offender, but there is plenty of video footage going around that shows the male alleged attacker jogging through the shopping centre, wielding a knife. As I said, jogging through the shopping centre during a very busy Saturday afternoon here, first day of school holidays. Thousands of people would have been in that shopping centre at the time. So as I said, lots of videos circulating of him sort of carrying out the attack, forcing people to flee.
Richelle, stay with us for just a moment. We know hundreds of people were evacuated from that mall, and we do have some eyewitness testimony from the scene that we'd like to share.
And I was hiding in the back room and I was just hearing gunshots. It's just like the worst thing ever. Like, who does that to people? It was insane. It was insanity. I wasn't expecting it.
What was going through your mind as you were trying to get out?
I thought I was going to die.
I saw people running quite clearly in one direction, and behind them was a man with a knife running towards different people. He was running up to them or, trying to, I don't know what he was doing.
They just said, run, 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 someone's being stabbed. And so we were inside Dior, they closed the doors, and we saw the guy come up the escalators, green shirt, I think shorts, with a big black knife in his hand. And just really calmly, he was just walking like he was having an ice cream in the park, And
we didn't know if there was actually someone with a gun. So because the first thing we saw someone lying down with blood everywhere, and then we heard a gunshot. So we thought potentially that's someone with a gun.
Richelle, these are obviously shocking and disturbing accounts we're hearing there. What kind of public reaction have we heard to this incident in Australia?
Well, amongst the public, I mean, there's just been a lot of shock here because this is not something that we would expect to happen here in Australia. I know you recently earlier played a soundbite from Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, who said that he thanked the first responders and police for their bravery, but he also said that that his thoughts are with the victims, and absolutely condemned this horrific act of violence. I also do have to mention that as the emergency teams descended on the shopping centre, gunshots were heard, and police confirmed in that earlier press conference that the alleged offender was fatally shot.
Journalist Nick Bonyhady has been reporting from the scene and joins us. What have witnesses and survivors been telling you?
Well, they're still speaking in a state of absolute adrenaline and shock. People who have been exiting from the shopping mall today, they're people who were forced to blockade themselves within shops and flee to exits through fire escapes. And the overwhelming sense is one that this is something that could never have happened in a location like Bondi, an affluent and usually safe communities. There's just a deep and palpable sense of shock.
Any more on the motive? I believe police have been ruling out terrorism.
Yes, the latest from police is that he's a 40-year-old man and someone who is known to police. They say that if they've got that early identification correct, then they don't believe that it's terrorist related. There are some accounts from witnesses who saw the man stalking through the shopping centre who suggested that he didn't seem as though he was of right mind, but police haven't provided any further details on what was motivating him to commit these actions.
And Nick, tell us more about the heroic officer who managed to finally stop the suspect.
Well, she was a fairly senior police officer attached to the local police station who just happened, and incredibly luckily, to be in the area. She was taken to where the man was located by people who had been fleeing from him. She confronted him alone. There are witness accounts that she instructed him to drop his knife, and he didn't, and she shot him. She's asked for her name not to be released by police forces, but they have said that she's getting all of the support from her family and from the police that they can provide to her.
Needham, Kirsty Needham, from Reuters, has been reporting from the scene. What have people been telling you?
Yeah, look, there was, we've been out at Westfield Bondi Junction, a lot of very shocked shoppers and locals. We spoke to a witness, a cafe worker who was inside the mall. He saw the man in a green jumper wielding a knife chasing after people, and just as it ran past his cafe, just really close to him, he heard 2 to 3 shots, and he saw that a police officer had shot and stopped this knife-wielding attacker in their tracks. He said he turned around, then he fell face down. But then he saw the policewoman try to resuscitate and, pushing on the chest and trying to resuscitate this attacker. The cafe worker was, quite visibly shocked and scared himself, but he was sheltering elderly women in the cafe. He had to wait around several hours for police to interview and take a statement from him because he was one of the witnesses to this terrible incident today in Sydney.
And the policewoman now being hailed a national hero. I guess so many more people could have been killed in this attack.
That's right. And, from what the police have said, very brave action. She's a high-ranking police officer, an inspector who happened to be nearby. She entered that shopping mall alone. She spoke to shoppers from what we have heard, and she made her way to level 5 to where the man with this very large knife was still chasing after people, came up behind him, and as he turned, that's when she discharged her firearm. And eyewitnesses have said, look, they felt that was the only thing that she could do, given the trail of blood and devastation, that, this is what they saw needed to happen to stop this attack. But certainly she's being praised as a hero.
And I know an investigation is underway, police remaining tight-lipped, but what about the motive?
So police have said this evening that it's a 40-year-old man. They're waiting for formal identification. But they said if it is who they think it is, they do not think this is terrorism related. And that had been the fear throughout Sydney this sunny Saturday afternoon, that this would be, this was a terrorist attack. They're saying they don't think it is at this stage, but still a very shocking incident in Australia where very strict gun control laws and knife control laws, this kind of incident is very rare.
Reuters journalist Kirsty Needham with the latest there from Sydney. Thanks for that.
Thank you.